This device is a web conferencing tool.
You know how I feel about excuses, girls. The details of your incompetence simply do not interest me. Now, let's begin the call.
Take a deep breath, everyone. Welcome to the Shark Tank.
Well, being that we are still without a marginally coherent lead story for the winter design issue, I cannot see what is the least bit good about it. I'm comforted, however, in knowing that this spell of creative ineptitude is short-lived, and am now ready to hear your brilliant ideas for the perfect story. Please?
What about a spread showcasing bleached linens that are showing up in accessory detail everywhere? We'll call it Arctic Twists on Winter Wear.
I will now pretend that a story suggesting wearing white in winter was not just proposed. No, none of that. Next.
How about a respite from the bitter cold with chinchilla or rabbit fur, neck wraps, and ear muffs?
Redundant, pitiful, spread on synthetic furs for Peta. When was it?
November? January.
December. January 03. 04. Am I asking too much for a single original idea?
Catherine, here's what we do. A full line of canine totes. Black cards, plaids, leather prints. Haute couture for the Metropolitan Doggy Mom.
That is absolutely adorable. I love it. We'll run with that story under the title Doggy Bag Chic. Nice work, everyone. You surprised me once again.
Note to everyone, dogs and verses always is.
So, Vahe, you were the last here in this conference.
Well, I think that when I look at the topic that has been covered today, what you said, Barojan, it's obviously a combination of factors which lead to a situation where obviously we are reaching a stage where after having enjoyed probably 20 years of very fast change in the way people communicate, people exchange together, and people share information, what we see is we are almost reaching the level of overwhelming, which makes counterproductive. And I remember 20 years ago on the very different environment, which was more the hardware industry. It was interesting to see that on the multiprocessing, for example, structure, every time you were adding one new processor, you were gaining some linear factor benefits until the number 6 processor. After the 6th processor, the 7th and the 8th and the 9th were taking more time to manage the whole system. So everybody was losing performance. And it seems to me, as a comparison, that where we are today, we're switching between a phone device, a mobile phone, a work phone, a home phone, with different numbers and password, and IM, and email, and personal IM, and work IM. We are reaching a level of no more the information flow is just getting controlled. If I look at my inbox, I have probably 1,200 email and read it today. Do I feel that? I don't feel the pain anymore. So the problem is that the way we see the development is moving completely dependent from the device. Basically today, the reason why we are facing this situation is because everything is linked to the device you are using. So what we see over the presentation that we have seen earlier on is that we strongly believe that the next wave in terms of communication is going to be very much software-powered communication. And the reason for that, it will create a kind of seamless relationship between the different devices, and especially the experience that any single user, professional or home user, will have across the board. Unified communication, to give you an example, Microsoft is a company who is making a lot of bets in many different areas, from the consumer, the Xbox 360, to the high-end enterprise. But do you know how much money we spend it's a bit more than $1 billion. This fiscal year will put more than $1 billion in terms of investments on a total budget which is around $6 billion for the whole activities that we have. So it's if there is one strong bet that Microsoft is doing today, it's really much on the unified communication. And if you look at the number of people who are developing, behind these teams, if you take the Microsoft Office so-called traditional, team, you have as many people working on within the Office team as in the unified communication team now. And this has changed over the last 2 years. If you look at the most pessimistic forecast that we have for the next 3 years, and I think it's important because Romania as a country will have certainly a role to play here. It's about, we believe that we will have at least 100 million Microsoft Office users in the world who will communicate and phone through Microsoft Office in the next 3 years. And what you have seen today through the Microsoft Office Communication, Office Communicator, Live Communication, the roundtable experience is something which is going to be embedded in the whole enterprise scenario, but even more on the Windows mobile environment. And we believe that the hosting environment that will give the opportunity to telcos, to many different, let's say, service providers, to build services on top of it. So the point here is not to talk about the next wave, as you mentioned, it's about also looking at different new business opportunities that many different people in this room and others will get, because there's one other direction, which is what we call the software plus services environment. Basically, we are very strong advocates of the fact that the software and the rich client will be still there, and we'll have a connection with very strong services. And the unified communication is going to be a new platform where people and solution providers will create new services that users will be able to experience the difference between one offering and another. So, just to make it short, here we see a tremendous increase in the role of the software as part of the communication flow today between text, messaging, email, and video sharing. The beauty of the software will be that to some point you will almost be intended to forget about the technology, to focus on what you have to do, as opposed to scanning in the database to find the names that you need, the phone number that you don't have because you changed it from the hardware. All these things will be in fact a kind of central